Hey everybody, I've been thinking about something and I wanted to make a short little video on this, and I'm going to show you the clips of what I'm talking about. But there's this weird thing happening these days, and as a Christian therapist who has to walk secular circles in a field that's relatively hostile, it's been really interesting to me. So there are still groups within the United States that persecute Christians or do not want to be around or want to discriminate against Christians or don't want us involved in things, and they will always be there more than likely. And then you have things like Antifa and those groups who are diametrically opposed to the things of the Christian faith. But then you have things, I've been watching some of the conservative news media because I find it interesting. I don't necessarily agree with them on everything. Who do you agree with everything on? Show me one person and then marry them, because nobody's married even to anyone who agrees with him on everything. But anyway, all that to say is there's these groups in conservative media and even like Donald Trump, President Trump, who are saying these things about the Christian faith that are really supportive, but there's this underlying tone where they don't really seem to understand the faith. For instance, and I'll show you this clip, Donald Trump the other day was asked a question that prompted him to say something about, oh, I don't think I'm probably going to heaven, even though he did all these peace
A couple
deals.
weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly an Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
And the question was based in like salvation based on works. And the response was, I haven't earned it. And because of all the things I've done in the past, I don't think I'll ever get there. And I think Donald Trump identifies as a Christian. I think he had some Christian upbringing, or at least like church in his upbringing. And I wish I could have said to him in that moment, and I'm sure the Graham family has said this to him at some point, you don't have to earn it. Jesus already did that. It's great that you're doing these things, and he's forgiven everything in the past, and all you have to do is believe and accept. And then I hear other folks but they don't seem to understand the basics of salvation, or they'll talk about how they're a Christian and they'll use foul language that does not honor God in the next sentence. And I just don't what I'm seeing. It's almost like we're still persecuted in some circles. Persecuted isn't even the word necessarily always. It's like we're still under pressure and under fire, because persecution has some other connotations. And then in this other group, it's like Christianity is held up as like the popular thing, but the theology within it isn't accurate. And for counselors, if people coming into your counseling room, you need to watch out for this. I've had it several times in past years before I've noticed this trend, and they would say, I don't think Jesus can forgive me anymore. The Bible's pretty clear. There's no end to the forgiveness. There is no end to salvation. There's no end to the love of God. If you're believing and submitting and in relationship, you have been saved. Now we can get into all the not idiosyncrasies, but the details of the gospel and all those things and how to explain it well. And I'm just trying to do it the basic way right now. So follow Jesus, have a relationship with him, believe in what he did on the cross and that he rose again. That's all you have to do. Now, is it more complicated than that? Maybe theologically, but that's the basic. And guys like Donald Trump and some of these news media folks and some of these conservative news media folks, they need to hear this. And so will your clients. It's like it doesn't end. So if you have a Christian client that comes in and I've done so many bad things, or they identify as part of the Christian faith, but they don't necessarily understand it, I have done all these bad things. I long for a day when I can be forgiven, but I think I've done too much stuff to be forgiven anymore, or I don't think Jesus can forgive all that I've done. That's not a thing. Salvation is a gift. There is no limit. There is no end. Make sure your clients know that when they're wanting to have that conversation, remember your ethics. You can't beat them with a Bible when they walk through your door and be like, forgiven. When they bring it up in conversation and they have that misunderstanding, you have to help them through the accuracy, or for an accurate understanding of what Scripture is.